Let's go.
This is turning into one of the weirdest shows I've ever done.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to History in Hindsight. I'm Nick Crowley. We got a great episode today. Our guest is comedian Will Noonan. You can find him on Twitter at Will Noonan. He's got over 26,000 followers. Some of his followers include people like Jim Gaffigan, Joe Rogan, Dave Attell, and President Obama, among others. You can see him touring all across New England, all across the country. He's a regular on Artie Lang and Anthony Cumia show, Artie and Anthony. You can listen to him on Sirius. And Will is a big marijuana head. He's a reefer, a doper. So he's the perfect person to talk to about this article called Marijuana Menace from 1938. We're talking about this era of Reefer Madness. So Will is a perfect person to discuss this topic with. He might be addicted. Before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone that's been listening so far. We got listeners all over the great United States and also some other countries. Canada, shout out to the Canadians listening, the Belgians, the Germans, the Brits, and that one Australian guy. I appreciate you, mate. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode with comedian Will Noonan. This article called Marijuana Menace.
Oh, yeah.
From 1938. So before we get started, I gotta ask you one thing.
Okay. Serious.
Are you a cop? If you are, you have to tell me.
No, but that's actually not true. I don't know if you've ever looked up prostitutes and prostitution laws, but they can lie about that.
But you were looking that up?
I mean...
Also, anyone that's listening right now, are you a cop?
Are you a cop? My dad was a cop.
Really?
Which has freaked out. I have been on drug deals for weed and said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like my dad's a cop," and like
that's what they love to hear.
Or you'll see something like even in other states, you'll see a cop or something. I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it. They won't pay attention. It's my dad's a cop. They don't even care." And then you'll see people's eyes like just for a second, like, and it always made me laugh. Like, do you think because my dad's a cop, like that trickles down in any way?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That I'm like, like I see a mugging and I'm like, oh, I'm related to a cop. I gotta stop it.
Yeah, citizen's arrest.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, that's. I guess we can trust you for now. But I'm here with Will Noonan, and we're going to talk a little bit about marijuana from 1938, the Reefer Madness days.
Reefer Madness days.
And
the beginning of the misinformation.
Yeah, it was quite a saga. And I think before we do that, it's important to set the table for like what was the world like in 1938. So
yeah.
I'm going to go through.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through some stuff, give you some facts about 1938.
Yeah,
so
please
you can
do.
get you in the right mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, so the president is FDR. Franklin
Delano Roosevelt.
Minimum wage 25 cents an hour.
Wow.
Which,
and right now it's around $11.
Yeah, I don't know if that kept up with inflation. If we had an inflation calculator,
25 cents.
Yeah, so
you couldn't even call someone and tell them how broke you were.
Yeah, I don't even know if there were payphones.
Probably not.
In 1938 was the year they first used a seeing eye dog.
Wow, that's
good for those dogs. Those dogs were unemployed for quite a while.
Yeah, I kind of think that's cool.
That's really cool. Whenever I see them on the train, like you'll see people with a seeing eye dog getting off and on the T.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you realize how much you have to trust that dog?
Dude, I used to see people with the New York City crossing those streets in New York City.
Yeah.
I always wonder if that was invented by a blind person or a person with sight. You know, like if a person with sight looked at a blind person was like, that man needs a dog.
Yeah.
Or was a blind person like, can I at least get a fucking dog? I just did a fundraiser show for a dog training academy, like for police dogs.
No way.
Speaking of marijuana, it's on my Instagram. Like the dog fucking loved me, and it was funny. I'm like, man, it comes over, sits at my feet, and I'm just petting it, right? And I go to the guy, I'm like, oh, this dog loves me. And the cop's like laughing kind of. He's like, yeah, well, sitting is that's how he indicates he smells marijuana.
Oh, yeah, he just sat like a pyramid right next to
And the
you.
cop was saying, it's funny, the dog loves me because, like, I smell like the thing that gets it treats.
Yes.
So it was like,
that's
this
a good
guy.
point.
And the cop showing that he likes me. So it was like double down positivity for the dog.
Yeah.
And that's how they train him. He was telling me it's all positive reinforcement, positive reinforcement.
Might have confused him a little bit because they were like, arrest this guy.
I know, it was weird.
Give me
but
a treat, arrest this guy.
he was explaining to me a little bit about dogs with jobs and how they like it, but it's a certain, over the years of these families of dogs, they've sort of bred out, they use the ones that that sort of take to it naturally, and they don't use the ones that don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So over like 20 years, this dog academy has ended up with like pretty solid working dogs.
Yeah.
They're very proud. Like, they don't fuck around too. Like, I tried to kid around. I'm like, so do you like feed them? They like just fuck around with them. They're like,
Yeah.
no, these dogs, they're a member of the family, but they're also professionals.
This dog is smarter than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I see one on like the train with a vest on that says like, don't touch me, I'm working, I'm just staring at it like, oh, I want to pet that dog so bad.
Yeah, I know. I had some when I was a karaoke guy. I had a blind regular customer, and when I was a bartender, I had a blind regular customer.
Oh,
and the blind regular.
What's his name? Like Blind Joe or something?
I can't remember the blind. When I was a bartender, he was like an old black man who was
Play the harmonica?
public school teacher. Yeah, he was. He ended up. It was funny. This dude used to get shit faced, right? And then I was always like, fuck it, he's blind. Like, get shit faced, do whatever you want to do. Get blind drunk.
Yeah, like he already can't see. So.
But once in a blue moon, I'd give him. He always drank just like whiskey and water on ice, or whiskey on ice, Dewar's on ice. And every now and then I'd just give him like water in a Dewar's glass with ice. And he'd sip it and be like, fuck, you're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole, man.
I know what this smells like.
You fuck with an old blind man, you fucking asshole. And so me and this dude used to bet on sports all the time, and I'd always lose and end up giving him $20. One day, it was like a long shot. I won. Like, my team came back and he owed me $20, and he never ever came back to the bar again.
He didn't pay you?
Because after like a year and a half, and then only because of a $20 bet, he never came back. He just found another bar to go. That's New York for you. It's like you can become a regular at a place and be like, well, I owe that guy $20, so I'm just never go there again.
Oh, we can't go there. I owe that guy $20.
Yeah.
And also, but if you were a true New Yorker, you would have been like, if anybody sees that fucking blind guy,
I know.
He owes me $20.
I was actually like, I don't even care. Tell him to come back. I miss that guy.
Yeah. Let's see what else. So this is an interesting one. I don't know if you've heard of this before. This is pretty famous, especially if you're an old person.
Which I am.
Orson Welles' radio adaptation of War of the Worlds. You heard about this?
That was 1938, yeah.
So Orson Welles goes on the radio and does a radio rendition of War of the Worlds, and the dumb people in 1938 listening on the radio think it's like a real interruption of the radio service. They start freaking out.
Which does sort of like nowadays that would be Flat Earth, I guess, or whoever's trumping sort of fake bullshit online.
Yeah, I mean you could do this.
People have always been susceptible to being duped via fear. You know? It's like you scare them. What if that's true? First, it seems ridiculous, but you're like, but what if? And then it's scary.
Oh, people laugh at this, but this could be you could do this 10 times more easily now.
Oh yeah. It would work on me for sure.
Apparently, some people like killed themselves.
Yeah.
Because, like there were actual people just freaking out. I think they just thought like aliens were
landing. I think there was like I think you could Snopes that, because I think there was sort of a myth that came off of that too, that it did a lot of damage.
But it really didn't.
I think it caused some slight panic.
Yeah.
But I also remember hearing that there were people at the time who totally got it too. So there were other people who were like on the streets going like, "You fools!"
Yeah, it was
it's satire.
Like, like a smart dude in a top hat was like, "You moron!" Like, you imbecile. It's Orson Welles, and then like poor drunk.
He's a known tomfoolist.
Yeah, like. And then I'm sure in rural areas, people just turned on the radio.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there was like one or two people that just ate the revolver like, aliens, I can't deal with it. Well, as long as we maintain the status quo until I die.
Yeah, as long as nobody ruffles no feathers
Yeah.
until I die.
And then they can do whatever they want.
DC Comics
All right.
pays $138 for exclusive rights to Superman.
Wow.
Bad move
Well,
by whoever sold. I think it was like Action Comics or something.
Yeah, I think the creator of Superman, all those guys got fucked. All the guys who created the big characters, because back then it was same with movies and everything. Your creation was the property of your boss. Even with inventions too. If you worked for General Electric and you invented something, good for you, but it's theirs. Same. So the guy who invented Spider-Man didn't make a ton of money off of it, which is I've read an interview with the guy. He talks about like he like walks around New York on Halloween. Like every kid is dressed as Spider-Man. He sees like none of the money. It's his invention.
Yeah.
The costumes.
His creation.
His creation. The guy's still alive. So all those guys got kind of fucked, but.
And then Stan Lee
known?
he's doing fine.
Yeah, he maintained that's why a lot of people hate him for that, but he maintained his connection to the company. And he eventually rose to CEO of the company, which is what you kind of have to do.
So he's more of a businessman than anything.
Yeah, that's changed, I think, since then, but that's just how it was back then. But man, imagine that.
$138. So that's about.
Oh, but those guys got they got paid again when the Superman movie came out. I remember, but it was like a pittance. It was,
and they were too old at that point. If they were selling, if this was sold in '38.
I think it was even they were dead. Their families got it, and it was only about $250,000, which is just like
for Superman.
It's like a piece of dust off Superman's cape.
Yeah, $138 in today's. So that's at least probably like 2,000. That's like 2,000 in today's terms.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much like
not a bad deal, especially for something no one knows is gonna.
Yeah, they had no idea.
Yeah, they didn't know it was gonna be a big.
They sold a cartoon for $2,000.
Yeah,
so
they probably felt like it was a good deal.
Yeah, at the time they felt good. Okay, so
it'd be like selling a joke for $2,000 right now.
Oh yeah,
and then it becomes like the Larry the Cable Guy's biggest joke. You'd feel like an asshole, but you'd be like, huh? I didn't.
Yeah,
know.
it's like, have you ever sold a joke for $2,000?
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
Pretty good.
I have, by the way, several times.
Really?
No. That'd be awesome.
So Kevin Hart.
We'd be in a bigger room.
Yeah. American automaker Henry Ford received Germany's highest honor for a non-German, the Order of the German Eagle, along with a personal note from Adolf Hitler. So pretty much, he was selling a bunch of cars to Germany,
upcoming Nazis.
Which I mean, that's like.
Wow, that's interesting. I did not know anything about that.
Hugo Boss.
So I knew that in BMW and stuff, but people always tell you like, don't buy Mercedes because of that. But it's like, well, what about Ford?
Yeah, if they could sell you a car, until it became like we are at war.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
With them,
I'm sure there's a lot of that.
I'm interested in your take on this, as someone who acts and is in all sorts of productions. So, in the Adventures of Robin Hood, the producers wanted a realistic look when people were getting killed by arrows. So instead of special effects, because they didn't have those, or editing tricks, they hired an expert archer to shoot extras wearing padding.
Oh.
The extras were paid $150 each time they were shot. Now, $150 is a lot of money. That's more than DC Comics paid to buy
hazard
Superman.
pay, yeah.
So how do you feel about like dressing up like you're complaining about dressing up like a donut or something?
I know, yeah.
These people were getting shot with real arrows.
That's heavy, man.
But just with some padding on.
I think I think if no one gets hurt, it's fine. I bet there were more. That's like stunt pay, you know what I mean? So I would call them more like stunt men.
Yeah.
But that takes some balls.
Well, you could find some desperate people that would do that now for $150. Just some padding.
I'd say, honest to God, set up like a Boston Casting fucking audition session for that. 100. It would take you a day. You would easily get 10 people, half a day, 6 hours. You'd easily get 10 guys.
$150 to get shot with a real arrow. As long as they believe
they would do it
legit.
For less than 150 if you told them it was gonna be on TV or like.
Yeah, you're gonna be in like the Robin Hood Men in Tights.
They're like, oh, it's a Tom Brady Dunkin' Donuts commercial where you get shot with an arrow. It pays $150. You're really gonna get shot with an arrow, but you'll be wearing an arrow-proof vest, and it'll be an expert guy. No, I guarantee you. He
Or
gets
Tom Brady gets to shoot the arrow at you.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, fine.
Fucking
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah.
Oil is discovered in Saudi Arabia. We all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
That turned out great.
Yeah, that turned out great for everyone on Earth.
Yeah. that didn't cause... If you look back,
That's not
it's like,
still a gigantic
that
problem.
caused a lot of problems.
Actually, though, made my favorite soccer team a lot better. So
Who's that?
the Manchester City, they're owned by Saudi
princes,
oil princes.
Well, who's not at this point?
Yeah. Literary Digest, January 1st, 1938. Hey, very timely. Is that intentional, too?
That's wild, yep.
Marijuana Menace, broadcast over Mutual Network. The dangerous narcotic drug marijuana grows wild in almost every state in the Union, and therefore is easily obtainable. Not only does it grow in the countryside, but along the roadsides and in the vacant lots of our cities as well. In many cities, its presence was first discovered when health officials surveyed vacant lots in a drive to destroy ragweed and other noxious plants. Because it grows in so many different places, it has become the cheapest of all drugs.
So some of that sounded just like almost an old Winston Churchill,
Yeah,
you can find it on the countryside.
Yeah, I did.
In the roadsides.
I did. I kind of got into
in the
a little.
vacant lots.
When you read things from the 1930s, you just get into a 1930s, 1940s cadence.
Also, I think for a lot of people, this sounds like paradise. There's just weed growing in the countryside.
Well,
and
that
the
is
roadside, vacant lots.
Northwest. There's still ditchweed. It grows on like the side of highways. And you can still grow. I grew marijuana by accident in my parents' backyard just by throwing seeds out the window. But it's not necessarily like good shit to smoke. It's just dirt crap. Like you'd have to smoke so much of it to get high that you just get sick from smoking that much plant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you've probably smoked weirder stuff. Like,
yeah.
When you were young, like, did you ever smoke anything just in place of weed when you were young? Like,
I never smoked that, and I never will smoke that, like, spice shit, that, like, fake synthetic weed.
Yeah.
I would never touch that.
There were kids that would smoke, like, tea bags rolled with, like, composition book paper.
I never did that. I did some dumb shit, like, I had weed. Like, I would buy weed sometimes, but I had no pipe, I didn't know how to roll joints, and I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
I would find a way to buy weed, and then I'd be stuck with it. And I tried some things early on, my teens, where I'd, like, put it in hot tea. Because, like, people would tell you if you just, like, you catch a small buzz. Remember one time doing it and seeing Blue Man Group? Me and my buddy thought we were being, like, so badass by just fucking sprinkling weed in Dunkin' Donuts tea, drinking it, and going to see Blue Man.
Not do anything.
Didn't do anything probably, but it did feel like you could taste weed by drinking. It wasn't bad. You taste it and smell it, so you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, and also you're at the Blue Man Group.
You're at the Blue Man Group, so it's awesome. I've hung out with some of the real Blue Men. I knew a girl that was dating a Blue Man for a while. That was weird.
I like it. I like the mystery, though.
Oh, well, there used to be a comedy club upstairs. Did Dustin ever talk to you about this? There used to be a comedy club called Tommy's upstairs from the Blue Man Group or downstairs from the Blue Man Group or in that building, right? And, you know, the Blue Man Group is a fucking intricate show. So those guys have a lot of crazy cues where they're running through that building, right? So they actually had one of their cues where they would move through the comedy room during the show, and it was fucking weird. Sometimes you'd be going to the bathroom and you run into this Blue Man who was really in a fucking hurry because he's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got a rule there once that was heavy. They were like, do not fucking talk to the Blue Man, especially if you're on stage, because then you make them look like a dick because they want to
and they have to go.
They want to play with you and improv with you or whatever, do something, but they actually have to go.
Yeah.
And Tom Dustin was the one who they made that rule for, because I guess he gave a Blue Man like a super hard time from the stage.
Oh my god!
But it's intense.
What's this blue guy doing?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you walking through my show? And the guy felt terrible about it. And they're all like sensitive artists.
Yeah,
like
I mean, those guys are talented.
Unfucking believable talented. The audition.
I can't even catch a marshmallow in my mouth.
The audition sheet, just fucking reading what you need to be able to do to audition for it.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, millions of times. I've thought about it. I'm like, I can't do any of this shit.
You have to do like athletic stuff, music.
You have to be able to. They invented an instrument that you have to learn how to play. So they're like, how
PVC pipe?
Yeah, how good are you at learning? How well do you know music? Can you learn an instrument?
Yeah.
Can you catch things with your mouth?
Never drop them ever.
Never drop them ever. It's rigorous. It's like months of getting ready to do it. You have to dedicate yourself to that.
Yeah, and also, do you want to paint yourself blue and be a blue person mime?
And not get any credit for what you do. No one's going to stop you on the street.
That's a big part of it.
No, you're putting in all this work, and no one's ever going to stop you on the street and be like, I love what you do.
Yeah.
Ever. It is estimated the Narcotic Bureau of New York Police Department in 1936 alone destroyed almost 40,000 pounds of marijuana plants found growing within the city limits. Because of its rapidly increasing use, marijuana demands a price as high as $60 a pound.
Holy jamoly.
So I paid $70 last night for a quarter of an ounce.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how much are you paying for marijuana these days?
$70 for a quarter ounce, which is $10 cheaper than it was a year or two ago.
So prices are going down?
Prices are going down. They peaked. They were, when I was a kid, it was like $40 for an eighth of weed. Actually, so yeah, they've stayed pretty much.
Yeah.
They've gone up and down about $10.
You think so we're in Massachusetts, you think the medical and the recreational laws are bringing it down?
It does bring it down. I had the talk with, I have a few different weed guys, but one of them was like, yeah, I'm lowering my prices because to compete with
real dispensaries.
With real dispensaries, but also the fact that a lot of people are getting into selling weed now who never sold weed before, just to their friends.
They're less scared.
Yeah, people are less free to sell it and less.
But aren't they afraid of getting addicted?
I know. For $60 a pound. Yeah. I like that they say they destroyed 40,000 pounds of marijuana. I have to think that's an exaggeration.
Yeah. The police department in 1936.
I'm like, what did they fill Madison Square Garden with weed?
Also, you could I think in 1936 you could put anything in a newspaper.
Yeah.
Orson Welles convinced everybody that they were aliens attacking, so.
Yeah, and that could be a typo.
Who's fact checking?
400 pounds sounds like a lot, actually, for 1938.
Dude, 40,000 pounds of marijuana. That's like the New York. Like they would be posing with pictures of it every single day of just stacks. Yeah, I would always have like a friend that would come back and be like, when you were like 14, and be like, yeah, did you hear about like Jim? He went to Jamaica with his parents and he bought like a trash bag. For, $40. Yeah,
you'd hear that about...
Your friend's a liar.
You'd hear that about the Northwest sometimes, too. Like, oh, my friend lives in Seattle, and he buys trash bags of...
Northern Lights.
Yeah. Shall I read on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, this gets interesting here. While city officials have destroyed hundreds of thousands of plants, those parasitic criminals who traffic in the drug plant the seed in open lots, where it grows without need of cultivation. Then, under cover of darkness, the weed is harvested, dried, and its leaves made into cigarettes. These cigarettes are sometimes called reefers, and are also known as goof butts, muggles, tea, or gauge. They are bootlegged at prices ranging from 5 to 50 cents. Well, let me just say, first off, goof butts.
That's new. No, we gotta bring one of these back.
Goof butts needs to go. Muggles and goof butts are both great.
Hey, buddy, can I buy my muggle off you?
I thought I was being cool. I called it grass for a really long time in like my 20s. I was like, let's call it grass. I tried to bring it back, and just no one liked it.
Grass is never gonna happen. You're not gonna make grass happen.
And then goof butts. Reefer, though, I still say all the time, and it does get a smile out of people.
Reefer, you say, with a wink and a nod to this era, but goof butts, I think.
Baby boomers like to call it to say doobie a lot. That's their favorite. Like I get that a lot after shows. Like, hey, I got a doobie for you in my truck.
Yeah, you want to listen to some Bob Seger? Smoke a doobie.
Let's smoke a doobie. The drug is considered more dangerous than cocaine or opium, neither of which will grow in this country. Can't agree with either of those.
Yeah.
Even though I could totally see in 1938, I don't think in 1938 the coke was that good yet. So maybe it was just a little.
Yeah, I didn't even know like people knew about cocaine in 1938.
I'm not totally talking out of my ass, but I think maybe it wasn't powder cocaine then, or it wasn't as strong or something, so they could get away with saying that. But I've also read that this is all just part of the bullshit of trying to get people off marijuana because it was sort of cheap and easy, and it was getting a lot of.
And it was going to be.
It was a black
industry.
person kind of drug, or a black person thing. So people were, the white men in charge in 1938.
Yeah, I've heard conspiracy theories that the oil industry had a big part in causing reefer madness, just because of oil that you can use in hemp and all the
oil.
different things that it can
totally
replace.
Makes sense. That happens now with you look at the people who fight to keep prisons big and in public are like the people who make the food that's sold in prisons. They don't give a fuck about anything but keeping that bottom line. So it's sort of like
making the little fruit cups.
Yeah, you're like shit. It's a battle. While medical men and scientists have disagreed as to the properties of marijuana, and some have been inclined to minimize its harmfulness, like us, records offer ample evidence that it has a disastrous effect on many of its users. What do you think of that?
What type of effect does it have on you? I've never tried it.
Never?
No. I got some of my friends have, but
makes me
they're drug addicts.
Makes me whatever you've felt this entire interview coming off of me, it's what it makes me.
I smell it. I smell it, folks. We're in the devil's den.
Yeah, I was smoking it earlier in here.
He's a real doper.
I don't even care. Well, that's the funny thing. I did have a drinking problem, which my family didn't see much of, but they knew of, and they did see a glimpse of. So this is all you need to do if you want to smoke. So then I quit drinking, and then 6 months later started smoking weed. No one cares. I could smoke weed.
I guess that's a good...
Every family function. One time, my mom would be like, just go smoke a joint.
Oh, my God, your mom got cool all of a sudden.
Everyone's cool with it for years. So.
You're like, so your family doesn't mind at
No,
all?
not at all. And I've smoked with all of them but my mother.
Yeah, I don't think... I
haven't smoked with my brother either, but he's like, he doesn't count.
Well, like, do you want to... When you think about it, it's like, do you want to smoke with your mom? I don't know if I
don't... You know what?
I see my mom altered
I didn't think I wanted to smoke with my sister, but it brought us closer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've been... It's just a tight moment for...
Did you inject it, or do you snort it?
Yeah, we snorted it.
Yeah.
There's a theory that when you die... That's what those things are... The things we're awakening with shrooms and weed and even alcohol, maybe, those dopamine receptors and all that shit, they say that's there for when we die. It's just so we don't have horrible deaths.
Yeah.
When we die, we're supposed to experience tripping for the first time and be like, wow, like, hey, there's heaven and there's my family and like, oh my God, and then you die, right? So, but someone figured out how to get to that shit early with drugs.
So people used all that up at like an EDM festival.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, oh shit.
But so it's kind of like, I wonder about that sometimes. I'm like, maybe it's just we're looking into a door we're not really supposed to see until seconds before it's over.
Yeah.
But so sometimes you're like walking through your whole life like, wow, I got a little bit of a glimpse there into like how deep I can really go. And it can kind of freak you out.